Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Erik Felsted on the line, and he's CEO and Executive Director over at Known by Name Foundation. And this episode is part of our AFM series. That's our American Film Market series, where we're bringing the best of those who attended and participated in AFM in Century City or Los Angeles, California. Erik, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me.
All right, so a lot to talk about today. Definitely want to get into what you're doing over at Known by Name Foundation. I also understand that you're working on a film right now, so I want to get into that as well. But before we do that, how was AFM this year, man? Have you been in the past? Is this your first time going? Give me some of the backstory.
This was my first year, and I really enjoyed it. I wish I could have stayed the whole time, but I had another commitment in Laguna Beach at another event. But it was my screenwriter's agent who invited me or told me about it a couple weeks before, and I went ahead and booked tickets and was really grateful I went there. Great event.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, as a first-time attendee, what was your goal? What were you going in there for this time?
That's a great question. I really didn't know what my goal was. A lot of times these events are all about networking, and so I was hoping I would meet some people, which I did. I did go to some of the bigger events to learn what's going on in the industry, because I also know the industry's changing. And a third point is that I've actually never produced a film before, so I feel like I'll have a lot of learning to do, and I need to really get up to speed with what was going on in the industry, which is what I've been doing over the last year.
And speaking of the industry, at least on the independent scene there was a lot of energy, right? What I like about AFM is it was like people that are, the creators, the directors, the behind camera, front and camera, like the freaking distribution, buyers, sellers, everything. It was all there, right?
Yes. And I had just gone a couple weeks earlier to the Vid Summit. It's a YouTube summit. And it was it's a different energy, but they're both really good. Really liked both of them. But I'm so glad I went to AFM, and I'm going to keep going because I do think that you make some great connections there and you learn a lot.
Yeah, I have to agree with that one. Well, let's switch it up a bit here, Erik. Let's get into Known by Name Foundation. So first, tell me a little bit about the company.
Okay. Well, it started out first that about a year ago. It was actually November of last year, 2024, that I read this book called A Necessary Lie, Escape for Freedom and Love. And it's a true story about a couple who escaped from North Korea. And it impacted me so deeply when I read this book.
Wow.
It's hard for me to describe this feeling of going, wait a minute, this isn't like 1940, 39 Nazi Germany. We live in 2025, and is there really this kind of oppression going on in the world? And I felt maybe a little stupid for being ignorant, because it is going around in the world. There's some really horrible oppression, and the book opened my eyes to some of the things that are going around in the world, especially in North Korea. So as I had this feeling, like God put it on my heart to maybe do a film, and there's a whole story behind that, because I'm like, why me? I'm not a filmmaker, but there are some things that led me to this point. My background is I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm a fund manager for commercial real estate deals. So I've raised money. I have private investors in these syndicates, and I'm familiar with that path. And so I thought, we'll raise some money and we'll produce this film. But I was also touched by another group that's doing an incredible film TV series movement in the world, and that's the Chosen and the Come and See Foundation. And I was involved with them, and I saw how they structured it with the foundation, and I just felt really strongly that I wasn't doing this for a for-profit motive, but really to help people and elevate the dignity of human soul. So anyway, I put it into a foundation. It's called the Known by Name Foundation, and there's a lot of spiritual indications there, because in the Bible there are many, many references about how God knows us each by name. From the foundation of the world that he created, he knew each of us. And so it's really important that people understand that they matter. And oppressive authoritarian regimes tend to make you more like a number. You're just a machine that they're trying to use for power and other things. So I know that's a long explanation.
No. And from fund manager to filmmaker, that's the title of a book, man.
Well, if I'm successful, maybe, but if not, no one's going to want to read it.
What's it like? No, don't. Yeah, right. Whatever. You take the same tenacity you take in managing funds and you put it to this. It's like success is success. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
What and you assemble the team. There's so many similarities. Like obviously it's a different type of medium, but there's a lot of creativity in real estate. First off, and putting like that's a insanely creative field for those that maybe don't know.
Yeah.
So what's it like heading down this path then for the first time? What's that been like for you? It's different, right?
To be honest, it's like thrilling and scary as all you can imagine at the same time. Like I literally have never been more scared about a project. I'm a person that I have a lot of confidence and I feel like I can just do anything if I put my mind to it. And I just work hard and I grind, right? But this one, for some reason, I realized I had to put myself out there. I also knew, I've had people come to me about film investing, and I've invested in independent films. But I remember the first time someone came and asked me, it was a friend of mine I've known a long time. And he said, "You want to invest in a film? My cousin and I are producing." And I said, "I know a lot of ways to lose money, and film's like at the top of that list. But by the same token, I know you and I trust you. I'm in." And I invested and I made money in each of those independent films. And I watched. These are all like very niche, sub $1 million budget films. So it was not that difficult to make the investors' money back and get a good return. But it scares me thinking about doing a film that really needs to have an impact on the world, which means it has to be a higher budget, and it really needs to have an impact or there's no point in doing it, right? I want to do this to have an impact, to touch people, and to shine a light on what's going on in North Korea, because it matters to not just the people, the 26 million people who are oppressed in North Korea, but it matters to the world, and we can talk about that later. But yeah, it's scary. All I can say is it's scary. There are times when I just think, what have I done? Why have I taken my perfectly happy, easy life and thrown this into the mix, right?
Yes, that's what happens in this world. That's great. I love your passion for the project and just like what you're trying to accomplish. What's also interesting about like as you try to make things that are bigger is like what you said, like kind of like the risk component of it. I've talked to many filmmakers. It's almost like it's this thing to where you just, you may have started with some that have been doing this their whole life, right? Or that's their profession. They started with maybe short films, or then they moved on to this, and they had a certain budget, then they move up to another budget, and every bit has levels of complexity. But I got to go back to real estate on this. Not unlike real estate. Like, so you start maybe with a single family, depending, again, I'm oversimplifying it, but maybe you start with a single family, then you get a duplex, then you get a quad, then you're up to commercial, and then you're thinking about like, should we go into office, or should we do this, or storage, or should we build, should we be a developer? So a lot of similarities, and each one is kind of like a test of your fortitude to see if you should be doing that, right?
Well, the crazy thing about this is most of the things in my career, I've always had really good mentors and good people around me, but really it came down to me, and I thought if I just put my head down, I can do this, right? But with this project, I realized I can't do this by myself. There is no way I can pull this off by myself. But if I surround myself with great people, if God is behind me and I have a mission to bless the lives of others, then I can have a partner in God, which is super important, right? And then, because if I have him and I'm kind of aligning the mission with what his goal would be, which is to bless his children, right, all around the world, then I think we have a shot at making this happen. And I've already watched crazy little, I call them ordinary miracles, the little miracles that have happened that have given me the confidence to keep putting a step in front of each other. And if I hit a wall, I just turn and keep going, right? Hit the next wall, turn and keep going. But it's been an incredible journey in the last year. Really, the creative side of me has loved this, man. Wow. There's a little backdrop on my story. I used to write music in high school, and I sang in barbershop quartets. I loved the creative side. I experienced it. I get to college, and I had a choice. I had some music classes and then business, and I really loved business too. But I really didn't want to be poor, so I went into business, and actually I went into accounting. And that's a good way to destroy creativity, right? But accounting helps you evaluate risk.
Come on, man. Well, hold on. There's so many accounting jokes in that when you left me over before. I'm just going to stop about the creative accounting. We've all been affected. Oh, my gosh. Let's talk about, like, Elon and, like with Tesla. No, I'm just playing. We're not getting into creative accounting. Go ahead, please.
But accounting is a great background in so many things. It does make it gives you the ability to pivot into other. I've done a lot of industries, software, training, real estate, you name it, I've done all kinds of things. And so this is new for me, pivoting into film, but I can apply a lot of the same principles. Like when I was at AFM, for example, I listened to Jeffrey Goldstein from A Higher Standard, and he said 3 things, and I wrote this down. A story, story, story. Most important things. Second is the director, and third is the actors, like the actors that bring an audience with you. So I started thinking, story, story, story. It sounds like real estate, location, 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 right? It sounds like, you stack your executive team with great A players. So this is probably the very similar formula. Anyway, that's where I'm at with some of this.
I love it. No, this is great insight. It's fun too because we got both audiences that listen to this channel. So we have a lot of creatives and filmmakers and other things, but then the other side, we have a very strong business and entrepreneur side. I think based off our conversation, we're probably got some other people that are going to start getting into some films and stuff. That's fun to me. I don't know. I like the crossover of our audience because it's people that sometimes were considered that they shouldn't be out there making films or maybe doing certain creative pursuits. Like myself, I started in finance. I didn't think I was ever going to be in media. Been in media now full time and going on 9 years. I managed a little under $200 million before I exited out the finance career, and then I've been doing this now again for like the last 9 years full time, and I've loved it. And did I ever think I was going to be in a creative career or this or that? No way. So that's why when I hear you going on this film journey, man, I'm excited. There's so many creative pursuits and things that maybe some of the, I don't know if I should say traditional, but we were ragging on accountants or this or that. It's like, that was once upon a time we were put in that box, and I'll put me in that because I affectionately would have called myself a paper pusher, right, or a button pusher, and like I'm looking at screens all day back in the day. Stock market, what's going on? I lived by that for over a decade of my life, and I thought that I couldn't do these other creative things, but I was wrong. I was like, it's cool. So that's why I'm just like so excited for you. I'm like, no, it's going to be great. Can't wait. After this film comes out, you're going to be like, what's the next one? Like, what's happening next? And it's just, to me, it kind of fuels like the spice of life and just adding some other things in there, like experiences. You can't take it with you, and we all know that. You ain't taking it with you. So if you can enrich the world by reinvesting into the creative side as well, whether it's you taking a leap and getting out there and doing it yourself, or somebody else maybe investing in somebody else's film, which you've mentioned, you've invested in some films. I mean, it's wonderful to help somebody else pursue their dream and to add to the psyche. I love it.
Yeah, no, I'm jealous of creators because it is a really, really beautiful.
You are one. You can't say that anymore. That's what Eric. You are one. You can't say that anymore. You're not jealous.
I know,
You're one
my
of them.
dream,
You're
right?
at AFM with the other film. I'm ragging on you because I want you out of that space, man, in your head, because you're about to birth this film.
Well, I really feel it deeply, Adam. I want it to happen so much. So much so that I'm taking Korean language lessons. I have a North Korean defector as my teacher. She lives in Seoul. I'm writing a newsletter and talking about different North Koreans and what they appreciate freedom unlike anybody I've ever met. And they know what we have in America and how special it is, even though we're all like worried about all our problems and political or whatever, economic, but they're looking at it going, oh my gosh, you have no idea what problems are, right? So I always love that perspective, and it refreshes me. I love learning. Everyone I've learned from North Korea wants to tell their story. There's books, there's so many books out there about their stories, and they're really, really touching. And so anyway, I've kind of decided to make it my life mission to help these people. And this film is about helping those 26 million people and the world at large. When people really put attention on what's going on in North Korea, they will realize that this is something for the world, not just for those people. But there's a lot of things that are happening in the world, and we can see what's happened over 3 generations of authoritarians in that country. We can learn a lot. So anyway, it's crazy, but you can see why I have passion about this, and the reason I want to produce this film is because there's already a lot of information. There's books, there's speeches, there's documentaries. There's a lot of information out there about North Korea, but as far as I know, there is no full feature film, and this has to stand on its own, right? And this film has a way of impacting people emotionally that a book maybe won't, or it just doesn't have the same type of reach, right, and impact. So I really hope that this film inspires people to feel hope and to take action. It's a great story. It's an incredible story. In fact, there's not many couples that escape North Korea. It's almost always a single person, or it's just too dangerous. The second thing is I created a nonprofit mission, so all financial gain will go to the mission. If the film does well, we'll have more funds to produce more and produce true stories that highlight what is it really like to live under a dictator or an authoritarian regime. What is it for the life of the ordinary people there? Because there's a lot of propaganda out there, and in the world, all the authoritarianism regimes are trying to say, look at how bad democracy is. They're killing each other with guns, and there's mass shootings, and there's all this discord, right? So we're in a little bit of a war between ideas and ideology, and I think we need to spread the message of hope, and we need to spread the message of the dignity of the human soul, that they're not to be used for power and gain, but God created us all individually with a name and a mission. And so I want freedom for North Koreans. I want them to be free to be North Koreans in their own culture, their own food. They have 5,000-year history of beauty. In the last 100 years has been brutal. So,
Ian, how do people follow up? How do they follow up? How do they connect?
So I have a website. It's knownfilms.org, knownfilms.org, and that has information. They should join my newsletter. That's right now my best mechanism, because I'm not super great in video. I did start a YouTube channel, but again, I'll probably work on some of that later. But right now I have a newsletter. I have a website. They can email me, or they can follow the newsletter and find out what's going on. I am in the newsletter. I'm sort of documenting the journey of an entrepreneur making a film. What are the steps and how it goes, and why I'm passionate about that. And I pivot into some issues about North Korea or the people there, or some spiritual things I'm feeling about this journey.
That's great. For everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes so that you can head right on over and check out Erik and check out his work. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Yes, you heard that right, daily. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Erik, man, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Adam. I sure appreciate your time and for inviting me.